His route. I firstly believed after seeing Google Directions route from St. Louis to his brother's house in Fort Wayne, Indiana, that he had went to his family's house, then perpetrated the Delphi murders upon his going to or returning from his family's place of residence. However, if Greeno's information is correct, and not just what Thomas Bruce's wife was told to say in regard to such questions by the FBI, then this is likely how it occurred. His wife was working on the date of the Delphi murders, February 13, 2017. It's a 4.5-hour drive to Delphi from St. Louis. But Thomas Bruce drives fast, as he's admitted to. So if he left St. Louis 4 hours prior to noon Eastern Time, then he left St. Louis at roughly 7 a.m. Central Time. Arriving at Mononahai Bridge Trail, he turned onto Main Street off of Highway 25, the Hoosier Heartland Express. Then made a right-hand turn onto Old 25, taking it northward to get to Country Road 300. He didn't turn onto the main parking area, but continued forward to get to Country Road 300. Then parked at the abandoned CPS building and parked there, where no one could readily see his license plate and from where his vehicle had come from. Now remember, he traveled into Eastern Time from Central, losing 1 hour on his clock of Central Time. He left Mononahai Bridge Trail that day at roughly 3 p.m. Eastern Time, needing 4 hours returned back to St. Louis, where he would have been home by 6 p.m. Central Time that evening, and made the dinner date with his wife no issue at all. Do I know whether he went to his family's house? No. Do I know whether he left St. Louis to get to Mononahai Bridge Trail? No. But I can't say with 100% confidence that he was at Mononahai Bridge Trail that day, and one of those two did occur. That I can say yes to. The suspect arrived at Mononahai Bridge Trail that day at approximately 12 p.m. He parked at the abandoned CPS building, seen here at a closer view, and not at the main parking area, as well seen here at a closer view, as to keep his vehicle's license plate kept secret from fellow travelers that would have parked at the main parking area, and likely backed into the CPS parking area to keep it from being seen by County Road 300 travelers as well. He hiked into the trail by following the pathway that starts at the CPS building and hiked it southward to the trail's main entrance, seen here at a closer view. So again, here's the suspect's route into where he parked that day at the CPS building. And here lies Anderson's Grain. It's been stated they had security cameras up during the time of the Delphi double murders at Mononahai Bridge Trail. As the suspect would have driven this route to the CPS building, provided the cameras were aimed outward, they may have captured video of the suspect's vehicle at a distance. Is that probable? I would have to say yes, at least probable. This is the main entrance into Mononahai Bridge Trail. This is the eastern side of Freedom Bridge. On the circular platform, and on that, there is a metal seating bench for hikers to sit at. I have heard that two young persons were sitting at that bench when the suspect exited the trail at approximately 3 p.m. Eastern Time that day. They saw the suspect, and he made a grimacing face at them as he passed through to his vehicle. I doubt that statement holds much water for these reasons. I went to Mononahai Bridge Trail with a friend in recent, and I took video of the entrance and the exit of the trail from the bench that they were supposedly sitting at to see what it is that they would have saw. Mind you, when he was leaving the trail, no one knew he had done anything aside of himself. He was not suspect of anything. He would have been seen as just a person walking by, a fellow hiker. My friend and I were nearing the exit entrance to the trail at Freedom Bridge when an older couple walked by us, entering into the trails. 2 minutes later, I asked my friend what he could tell me about their facial details in 2 days' time from then. He looked at me as if I was dumbfounded for even asking him that. He said, "I might say an older couple. That I can tell you right now, but that's about it." So why would two people sitting at a bench see him, take in his facial details, as he just happened by them? He was under zero suspicion of anything, and would have been noted as a hiker at best, if he was even noticed walking by that couple. Once the suspect had drove to Mononahai Bridge Trail, he started his hike back to Mononahai Bridge, trying not to be seen by others, as he did not want to have it known he was there that day. or any description that can be given of himself by others. He started at the entrance and walked back to Monon High Bridge, located here. I believe he walked to the south side of Monon High Bridge, as the lady that was walking her dogs that seen him that day said that she spoke to him for a couple of minutes. That lady lived on the south side of Monon High Bridge, which is where she was walking her dogs at. It's my thought that he walked to the bridge, scouting the south side for others who may be in the area hiking. He stayed in the woodline on the south side of the bridge here, and then kept watch on the bridge's northern side, likely with field glasses, and watched for a victim of his choosing to cross the bridge. Or maybe he would have went to the north side if the person was not going to cross the bridge, but that's unknown. He had already scouted the southern area below the bridge and surrounding areas to be sure he wouldn't be seen abducting the victims. I think when the girls arrived at the bridge and had walked across the bridge to the last platform on the left-hand side of the bridge, he walked by the girls. He said something which put a fright into the two girls. He walked up to the north side of the bridge far enough to see if anyone had walked down the 505 trail down to the shores of Deer Creek located here, where they could have possibly seen him taking the two girls to his already chosen area for the crime to occur. When he turned around, back toward the girls on the bridge, in that area of time, Libby turned her phone on video record to capture his body and voice.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
Shortly after that, the two girls were abducted on the south side of Monon High Bridge, and then taken across the creek to private property, out of sight and hearing for most hikers, and there is where he committed the crime he intended on committing when he traveled there. The voice of Thomas Jerome Bruce versus the suspect's audio. I have heard now, for approximately 2 years, that the voice of Thomas Jerome Bruce does not sound like the suspect's audio voice. Now mind you, both voice recordings were recorded on low-tech devices, one being a cell phone that was in all likelihood pocketed or placed in a waistband or top, and the suspect was as well likely behind them during the time of his voice recording at the crime. The traffic pullover was recorded on a dash cam, at a distance, with the trooper being between Thomas Jerome Bruce and the dash cam recorder. In both instances, I believe he was intoxicated on alcohol, and his voice was set at two different tones, one being upset and argumentative, the other is where he's in power and directing. It's my thoughts that the two voices are identical, with two different tones. Both recordings were made at a distance from the suspect, and neither were with high-tech recording devices. Let's take a quick listen and compare them.
I am a citizen. You work for me. Okay. All right?
Downhill. Downhill.
Do you understand that?
Downhill. Downhill.
Yes, you do. I pay your taxes,
Downhill. Downhill.
and you do not work for me.
Downhill. Downhill.
Well, then you step back.
Downhill. Downhill.
All right, you're going to stand right there, and I'm going to stand right here. Where do you want to stand? Right here. There.
Downhill. Downhill.
The walk of Thomas Jerome Bruce versus the suspect's walk. I had to 100% believe that the Delphi suspect is now and always has been Thomas Jerome Bruce. The walk of Thomas Jerome Bruce is somewhat important to knowing if he's the Delphi suspect or not. Law enforcement has advised us that the suspect's walk on Monon High Bridge is not his normal gait, as he is walking on a railroad bridge and must watch his every step. Plus, I believe that the suspect was at least somewhat intoxicated at the time of the girl's abduction, as was Thomas Jerome Bruce at the traffic pullover.
Yes, you do. I pay your taxes,
Let's first watch the walk on Monon High Bridge, then compare that to the walk of Thomas Jerome Bruce at the traffic pullover. In Bridge Guy's walk, he has his hands in his pockets, which is odd, as I have crossed that bridge many times over with as many different people, and not one of them, nor myself, ever walked across to any part of that bridge with our hands in our pants pocket. Now, back to the walk of Thomas Jerome Bruce at the traffic pullover. He walks in this time with his hands in his pockets toward the officer. In both cases, the suspect, as well as Thomas Jerome Bruce, were under extreme pressure. In the Delphi murders, the suspect knew what was to occur, and knew if anyone else knew, he would minimally go to prison for life. In the traffic pullover, Thomas Jerome Bruce knew if he was arrested, his fingerprints would come back as the Delphi unknowns. In each case, the person, suspect, walks with their hands in their pockets. Not odd, so much as personal habit within a stressful moment. Both are the same man. Delphi suspect, Thomas Jerome Bruce. Now, let's take a look at his physical appearance versus that of bridge guys. The Delphi suspect has been described as a white male, reddish-brown hair, 5'6" to 5'10" in height, 160 to 220 pounds in weight. Thomas Jerome Bruce has been described as a heavy-set man, that's 5'7" inches tall. While committing the Catholic supply store sexual assault and homicide, Thomas Jerome Bruce was dressed as Bridge Guy was dressed, and St. Louis police told Carroll County Sheriff's Department that Thomas Jerome Bruce had never been caught committing a crime and had never been arrested in his past, meaning that he had no legal priors and therefore had no DNA or fingerprints in any legal database for any law enforcement seeking a person that would match either of them two. And that's important in this case. Let's take a look back at Delphi's first-year press conference and see what Trooper Kim Riley's statements concerning the Delphi suspect were.
I mean, what's up with the investigation? I mean, like, how's come nothing's came forward? I mean, it seems like a lot of things.
You know, it's just one of those situations where we got a case that this person's never apparently committed a crime before. We have,
You would feel that he had never committed a crime, he has no DNA in the database?
well, I can't comment on that, but I'm just saying that's what it looks like. I mean, there's a possibility he's done something, but we can't find no traces of it.
Therefore, after the first-year press conference, I assumed they had fingerprints as well as DNA from the Delphi crime scene. Allow me to explain. How could a police officer inform a person that it's like the suspect had never been caught committing a crime in his past? How could the officer know that? It isn't just because he had no DNA in a legal database to be matched against. DNA is taken when a convict who has committed violent assault or a violent sexual attack. But while DNA is taken in those criminal acts, it's fingerprints that are always taken when you go to jail. And it's that in which I conclude Trooper Kim Riley was speaking from there. And then to point out that they can find no traces of him. That could only be stated providing they as well had fingerprints of the suspect. In recent, Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby stated in an interview that they obtained suggestive fingerprints of the suspect, of which I had already surmised. Now, why did St. Louis police contact Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby about Thomas Jerome Bruce and his similarities to the Delphi suspect? I believe St. Louis police, being the first to ever fingerprint Thomas Jerome Bruce, quickly found that his fingerprints matched the suggestive fingerprints found by law enforcement in the Delphi, Indiana murders. They matched. Then, thusly, St. Louis police knew and transferred that information off to Carroll County. St. Louis gave message of, "We arrested a man, Thomas Jerome Bruce, on first-degree murder, 3 counts of sodomy, and further felonies. He was dressed like your suspect was dressed, with a Carhartt-style jacket, like Katt, same size, weight, and height as the Delphi suspect. He had never been arrested before and had no legal way to match him to DNA or fingerprints. As well, I'm sure they sent photos of Thomas Jerome Bruce to have shown to the 2 witnesses that saw the suspect at Monon High Bridge Trail on the day of the murders. All of that fell because of a fingerprint match. The FBI played a hand in the Delphi case. On February 14, 2017, prior to the 2 girls' dead bodies being found, an FBI agent was in Delphi at Monon High Bridge Trail. Now, of course, I question, why would the FBI have an agent in Delphi that early on? And I believe others asked the same question. Why did the FBI have an agent in Delphi that quick? It hadn't been 24 hours since their disappearance of the 2 young girls, and the night prior, Sheriff Lesenby of Carroll County stated when ending the search for the 2 girls that there were no signs of foul play. But an FBI agent was there on the 14th, prior to 12 p.m. when the girls' bodies were found by searchers. I believe this is the reason why the FBI had an agent there that soon after the girls went missing. I believe the FBI had a hunch on this case right off. They knew that the Delphi, Indiana girls were reported as missing and were last seen at a small hiking trail on the outskirts of eastern Delphi, Indiana, and were to meet up with the oldest girl's father at roughly 3 p.m. that same day at the secondary entrance to Moon on High Bridge Trail. Delphi is a small town. Population of Delphi is 3,500 people. The small trail in Delphi sits right off of a highway, the Hoosier Heartland Express. And they made note of the date that the girls went missing on, February 13, 2017. The FBI has had an open case with the Evansdale, Iowa murder since July 13th of 2012. It too was a small trail, off of a highway. In that case, 2 young girls went missing, in the same way the 2 in Delphi did. In both cases, the girls were abducted. In Evansdale, the girls had as well been found, both murdered, and their bodies were found by a creek in the woods, same as what would occur in Delphi, Indiana. And the date of the abduction was 7/13/12, which is the reverse of 2/13/17, the date the Delphi girls went missing. Having noted this information, they sent an agent to be on hand should the 2 girls be found murdered in Delphi, and to gather all evidence of the crime to find the unknown serial killer that they had been seeking for 5 years prior to the Delphi murders. I believe that is what originated the agent to be in Delphi, was Evansdale, Iowa murders. The girls were found on Valentine's Day, February 14th at approximately 12 p.m. The FBI was on hand to offer Carroll County help in CSI, investigation, and forensics. I have made note of the reversible dates between the Evansdale, Iowa murders and the Delphi, Indiana murders. The Evansdale, Iowa murders were committed on 7/13/12, while the Delphi, Indiana murders were committed 5 years later on 2/13/17. The odds of this occurrence between 2 like crimes is extremely rare. The 2 crimes share many similarities. In both cases, 2 young girls were abducted from small hiking trails. Both trails set near small towns. The small trails as well set right off of a highway. In both cases, the 2 young girls were found dead and murdered by a creek in the woods on reversible dates. The odds of a calendar date reversing occur once in every 100,000 days. Exact methods of operation and exact crimes on reversible dates. Yes, this is a fact. Now, Thomas Jerome Bruce was arrested for the Catholic supply store sexual assault and homicide on Wednesday, November 21st, 2018. After his arrest, St. Louis County police officers stated the manner in which that crime was committed left them feeling that this was not his first time in committing such crimes. They had contacted Carroll County, Indiana, concerning Thomas Jerome Bruce having similarities to the Delphi, Indiana suspect, for reasons I feel were his fingerprints matched to the fingerprints left behind in the Delphi, Indiana murders. Plus, he looked like the Delphi, Indiana sketch, was dressed like Bridge Guy, and had never been arrested and had no way prior to his arrest in St. Louis to be matched to any other crimes he may have committed via fingerprints or DNA. The following day, the FBI went to St. Louis and obtained a DNA sample from Thomas Jerome Bruce. The reason the FBI took his DNA was to run it through the legal database and seek other crimes he may have matched to. They then questioned his family, friends, and neighbors about Thomas Jerome Bruce and his whereabouts on February 13, 2017. The fingerprints matched against Thomas Jerome Bruce. That brought down a sadistic serial killer. But now we go look for the FBI taking the DNA of Thomas Jerome Bruce. Check Google. Go ahead. I got time, I'll wait. Okay, now you see they took down every word of that from every online media source. Now I'll ask, why did the FBI do that? Why did they have the media remove the very fact that they went to St. Louis and got the DNA of Thomas Jerome Bruce? Well, it may be for the same reason they postponed the jury trial of Thomas Jerome Bruce. Why is it that so many people want closure in their cases, but the justice system is just not allowing for that? Is there a reason? Seriously? Aside of the mass scandemic, is there a real reason why? Now, in an interview with Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby, the sheriff stated that Carroll County sent their suspect DNA out to Quantico FBI headquarters prior to Christmas of 2018. That's less than 1 month after the FBI had obtained the DNA of Thomas Jerome Bruce. November 23, 2018, FBI obtained DNA from Thomas Bruce. December 20th, 2018, Carroll County sent their suspect DNA out to Quantico FBI headquarters. Scientific American quotes that there are between 25 and 50 active serial killers operating in the United States. If we take the highest estimate of 50, out of those 50 serial killers, how many of those would you feel meet the criteria and description of Thomas Jerome Bruce? This concludes this video on Lost in the Focus. Part 2 is coming next week. This video covered the criteria plus other information I feel is important in many cases that Thomas Jerome Bruce has committed over his life. But I guess we must wait, right? And wait some more. The voiceovers are crappy in this video, sorry for that, and the black eye on the sketch, I added that to make a point. But in knowing this criteria has allowed me to make the deduction that Thomas Jerome Bruce is suspect in the murder of minimally 6 different people in 3 differing states. Thanks for viewing, everyone. If you'd like to donate to the Michael Katt YouTube channel, you can do so by following the link provided below or check the description. Peace.